upon completion. As far as more info to come, building specifics will be released throughout the week. Some have already released some of those specifics today, so I hope you received that information from your building principals. Buildings will each have their own town hall style meetings similar to this one. Elementary will be Thursday at 5 p.m. Middle school will be Thursday at 6 p.m. And high school will be, you guessed it, Thursday at 7 p.m. Please attend for more in-depth details on the actual building plans, as what I'm going to go over tonight is definitely more of a district overview of the concept plan, not all of the intricate details of what, let's say, the music or the middle school looks like, or the elementary or the Montessori school. We won't get into those details tonight. And at this point, you know, we're trying to find that balance. To be 100% honest with you, there's no way to reopen without assuming some level of risk. And we also believe that in-person education is the best way to educate the whole child. And so within that, what we're doing now is the challenge that we're taking on is taking as many risk mitigating factors or steps, excuse me, so that we can open in as safe a way as possible. That includes a wide variety of steps that we've put into place, and we will get into that tonight. We also wanted to listen to and respond to our parents and community members. So a parent survey went out at the beginning of July. I can't believe it was only a month ago that we sent that survey out. It seems like years. There's a saying going around on Facebook right now, what a year this month has been. That is pretty accurate in the lives of educators right now, as we're trying to go through this planning process. But we had a great response rate to that parent survey. We had 851 responses. So to put that in perspective, a good response rate from any survey is 30 to 35% to get a pretty good idea of what's going to happen there. And for us, we received over 2/3 of our students and their parents responding, which is unbelievable. So within that, we had a very solid representation from all grade levels and a very solid representation from all schools, including charter schools. Within that, now again, no survey is perfect, right? And we know that. And we know that this survey wasn't perfect. And we also know that with this situation, as fluid as it is, a parent could have filled out that survey in the morning, and then by that evening could have changed their thought process. And so we completely understand that as everything evolves and we get more and more information each and every day. But at that moment, that snapshot said that 72% would have sent their students that day, and 28% said they would not send their students back when we would return to school on the 1st. Factors that we took into consideration were many. Many factors, including parent input, staff input, Vernon County Health Department, emergency management teams input, and DPI reopening guidelines, community expectations. And please know that this is just a snapshot. I mean, we have been working with a wide variety of groups that have been giving us thoughts, feedback, and recommendations throughout this process. And also please know that this information is changing rapidly. When we say rapidly, we have multiple examples of times that where communication has gone out, not only with us, but with things such as the medical community, where you will send something out and literally within the hour, CDC or DHS or your county has changed something so that within an hour that information is no longer relevant. And so again, it is changing rapidly. And if you watch any media outlet or news in the evenings, you can see how quickly that is changing. So overall, and this is a super condensed version, but overall, our plan that was board approved last Wednesday will have face-to-face instruction with face coverings required from both staff and students in the following formats. So 4K will be 2 days a week. Now, traditionally, 4K has been Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday. In order to cohort a little bit better, we will be changing that to Monday, Tuesday as one group, and Thursday, Friday as another group. K through 6 will be meeting 5 days per week, and 7 through 12 will be meeting on an A-B schedule. And what that looks like is you have 2 days a week of in-person instruction. So you'll be either in the A group, which meets on Monday and Tuesday, or the B group that meets on Thursday and Friday. And then the other 3 days will be offered in a virtual or remote environment. A virtual option, a full-time virtual option, will be offered at each grade level, and we will reevaluate this mid-quarter and every 4.5 weeks thereafter. That's a pretty typical point to look at that if you're looking at it from the school's world and the school's lens, to say a quarter is 9 weeks, every mid-quarter is 4.5 weeks. That is not saying that in 4.5 weeks, we're going to take this and flip this plan over on its head without some serious consideration, but that is saying that we are going to reevaluate every 4.5 weeks. With that being said, we do understand that we need to pivot. We may need to pivot quickly based upon Vernon County guidelines if they instruct us to do that. So we understand that, and we are beginning and continuing that contingency planning process and how that would look if that were the case. Excuse me. I don't like talking this much. Administrators don't laugh. Okay. One thing that will be changing with that is dismissal times. So elementary will be moving up their dismissal time to 2:20 p.m. and middle school and high school will be moving up their dismissal times to 2:30 p.m. This is for a wide variety of reasons. The main reasons being that staff can plan for both in-person and virtual instruction, and also to take care of mental health needs and self-care of our staff and students. The school will look different in the fall, and we want to make sure that we're offering that, so that we are considering all the needs of all stakeholders. Many questions have been brought up about our custodial procedures, our cleaning procedures, and I wanted to touch base a little bit on that. First of all, a thorough cleaning schedule has already been rolled out and will continue to be modified as we go. We do have an outside company that is providing these training and in-depth updates so that we're not only following the latest in technology, but also making sure that we're meeting the needs that COVID-19 presents. Within this, we have discussed, and if we need to, we may need to add additional staff. And high-touch areas such as doorknobs, desks, sinks, things along those lines will be cleaned throughout the day, where in previous planning that would have been only cleaned once per day. So it'll be cleaned and sanitized at multiple points. Within this process, we have also made some purchases to not only equipment, but other things. So the first, that we do have some misting equipment to sanitize areas such as lockers and common areas. We will have a hand sanitizing station in every classroom and at multiple kind of crossing points throughout the building where there would be more of an opportunity for people to use them. There have been plexiglass barriers installed in all the offices for our office staff. We have over 8,000 cloth face masks on hand from both the state and the county to hand to students and staff that need them. And we are also moving forward with a purchase that was board approved last week as well for what's called the GPS Needlepoint Ionization system. So this is something that is attached to our HVAC system so that we can do a better job of purifying the air. And so what it does is it does kill viruses. Now, no company is claiming that they kill COVID-19 specifically. There just isn't enough information for that. But they do kill viruses, bacteria, and mold. And this system also removes pollen, dust particles, and odors. And so the fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade teachers will really appreciate the killing of the odors. As we move forward, food service will look different. There won't be salad bar or any buffet style serving. That will and it will also look different in each building, because the needs of the kiddos are so different. And so again, an example could be that elementary school students eat in the classroom, potentially middle school eating in a larger area where we can socially distance. So again, that's just an option. That's not saying that that's what the middle school or elementary are going to do. With the virtual option, a question that has come up multiple times is, if I select the virtual option, will I continue to get meals as we have throughout, now throughout the summer? And the answer is, it is possible, but the delivery system will probably not be available. So right now we have bus drivers that do go out to different delivery and do those deliveries. That will probably not be the case as we move forward through school, but we would love to still be able to offer that option to our students that choose that virtual option. Many questions this week about athletics and co-curriculars. So at this point in time, practices and events will begin in accordance with WIAA guidelines. Now, those have been moved back for the fall, and they have given an option to all schools to move the fall sports season to the spring. I'm not sure exactly all of the logistics with that, and so we will be getting more clarity through this week, and Mr. Anderson and I will hopefully put out some communication on exactly what this means for our student athletes. Athletes for sure can expect that practices will be modified and will look different from previous years. And with that, we do anticipate changes, with a potential announcement coming Friday. They've kind of been teasing that, but they haven't truly announced, I don't believe, at this point. Another major point of question is that what if you have an ill child at school? How this works is they'll be sent to the nurse's office, and they will follow the DPI and DHS guidelines for COVID-like symptoms. And so what this looks like in a variety of ways, and we will send this out as soon as Vernon County sends out their guidelines, which we have been told will be tomorrow, hopefully. So what that'll look like is they will go to the office, and there will be different sets of symptoms that are related to COVID-19 that would warrant being sent home. So in this minor category, it's 2 or more symptoms. And then there are 2 other categories or stages that are more severe in the symptom categories, such as new or worsening cough, temperature. Those are the more severe types of symptoms that we would send home. And then there will be a flow chart, again, given out by Vernon County Health Department, that we will walk through hopefully as soon as we get that. And again, I've been told probably tomorrow. How does my child get back into school after recovering? And that's, again, Vernon County guidelines do have a flow chart that they are hoping to publish tomorrow. That will be there'll be 2 tracks, and that's if your child gets tested for COVID-19. Here's the one track of if they get tested, and if they do not, then there is another track where there will be some questions that the school personnel will have to ask. And so some of those questions will include, has your child been in contact with a positive COVID test and a positive case? And have you traveled or been in a mass gathering in the last 2 weeks? And so again, that it will be part of that conversation, which we've never had to ask before. And so we will walk through, kind of what that looks like. Again, very interesting, and it will look different. So what if there's a positive test? What if we have a child or a student that has a positive test? Again, there's documentation coming out from Vernon County, and we will be sending that out very shortly. again, once we get that go ahead. But what that will look like is, on our end, we will contact not only the parents, but also the Vernon County Health Department. And then the Vernon County Health Department will take over, and they will take over that process. And now we become more of the resource that we can say, based upon our attendance, that child came into contact with this, grouping, or that staff member came into contact with this grouping. As we move forward, that the questions that they will be asking you and us will or may include things such as, who has the child been in contact with for more than 15 minutes without being 6 feet apart? That may be a question with or without masking, but those are some of the types of questions that they have instructed us that they will be asking COVID, not only COVID positive test cases, but also those that may need to go and get additional testing or quarantine. And so the county health department will determine who needs that additional testing or who needs to stay home for the 10 to 14 days. And again, they will be releasing that flow chart hopefully tomorrow, and we will release it to you as soon as we have it. Is everybody still hearing me? I'm just talking to myself in my office right now, so I want to make sure. Okay, sounds good. Another question is, how do we make this decision on when to close a classroom or a building or the district? And so we understand that we may need to transition to virtual or remote learning under two conditions or situations. And that's either we have this increasing numbers of COVID-19 cases in not only Vernon County, but in our area. And that number is being determined right now as a variety of options for schools, including percentage of total population, percentage of families impacted by COVID positives. So again, we will announce that. We're really hopeful that the DHS guidance that is coming out this week will give us a clear and fast number of here's the number of the percentage that you need to follow. We also need to be concerned with with our staff. If we cannot appropriately staff a grade level, a building, or the district, we'll be looking at alternatives in that particular situation too. And again, this isn't to try to scare anyone. This is trying to make sure that you understand exactly where that we've thought about these types of things as the administrative team continues forward. Coming back full circle, and I'm right on time with where I wanted to be. This plan is not perfect. There are many flaws with this plan. There is not a perfect plan where we are going to make everyone happy, and we understand that. Moving forward, we are relying on our medical health experts and our public health experts to help us make these decisions. And so those health experts are not only Vernon County Health Department, but also through Vernon Memorial Healthcare and our medical advisory team there. We will be making adjustments as we go and as we learn more information. Again, those town hall meetings for elementary parents will be Thursday, August 13th at 5 p.m. Middle school will be at 6 p.m. and high school will be at 7 p.m. So now we're going to transition to some questions and answers. So I'm going to answer to the best of my ability some of the questions. There will be questions that I just won't be able to answer. So I hope that you guys will grant me some patience and understanding as we move forward in this unprecedented time. First question, if I have a 4K student and a middle school, high school student, would they be able to attend on the same 2 days? So would they be able to be in a Monday, Tuesday group or a Thursday, Friday group? And the answer is yes. So building principals will do their best to coordinate with families so that you guys don't have opposites, right? Where even if you have multiple middle schoolers or multiple high schoolers, or even a combination of the three, we will try our best to accommodate and make sure you don't have some kids in school and some kids at home. Now, some of you may maybe want that, where you don't want all of the kids at home. I'm not sure. So just reach out with that request if that's the case. But we will try to cohort into those family groups the best that we can. Okay, the 3 days of online learning, is that with Viroqua area school teachers, or is it with 5-day online teaching? Okay, so I think what the question is, when we're doing this virtual learning, if you choose the in-person option for 7th through 7th through 12th grade, the 3 days of virtual learning will be provided by our Viroqua area schools teachers. If you were to choose the full-time virtual program, the odds are right now in 7th through 12th grade, that would probably be through a program that we're partnering with called Edmentum. And that's for a variety of reasons. The main reason is so that we can keep our staffing in-house to keep our numbers low. Because if we were to transition a certain percentage of our staff in 7 through 12 over, that would potentially could completely nullify the whole reason for doing the AB, the 2 days a week schedule to start. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, I'm getting some head nodding. And again, that could change based on a variety of situations, including accommodations requested by specific teachers if they have an underlying health condition, things along those lines, or something pops up that we have to modify a teacher's role, we will do so if we have to. Give me a thumbs up if you got that, if you understand that answer. Yes, awesome. If my child enrolls in person and becomes ill or needs to stay out of school for other circumstances, can he or she continue in the virtual program and enroll in that? So if my child enrolls in person and becomes ill, so this particular situation, we will want to evaluate on an individual situation. So absolutely, if your child becomes diagnosed, with some underlying health condition or something that would prevent them from being in school, we will work with the families individually. Absolutely. So that will be done on a case-by-case basis. What we don't want, and I'm sure that each of you can understand this, is we don't want to enroll a student in the virtual program for, let's just say, a couple weeks because a parent doesn't feel comfortable sending their kid back. And then a couple weeks later, they go, okay, I feel better, right? I feel better. Now I'm going to send them. And now they get cold feet again. And now we're kind of flip-flopping back and forth. That's just not what's best for kids. And so, again, trying to make sure. So we will have some points throughout the semester and throughout the year where it'll be a more natural transition one way or the other. And so, again, we don't want that flip-flopping back and forth. Understanding that you absolutely, this changes by the minute. So we understand that, and again, we'll try to be as accommodating as we can, but we want to make sure that we're making the best decisions for kiddos too. Can a child who was in VAMS last year do regular school this year via virtual learning? And the answer is absolutely. We are looking specifically at those, if we're looking at VAMS or Trillium or any of the charter schools, we will be doing our very best to provide that virtual option within our current staff. So again, if you wanted to switch over, we can definitely talk about it for this year and not use your place in that, or you can do the virtual Montessori option. Did that answer that question? I'm not sure who that was, but thank you. If a teacher or student tests positive for COVID-19, will the class need to quarantine for 2 weeks? We are seeking guidance from the county on this, and again, the answer is it'll depend. I know it's not a good answer. I know it's not clean, but if we have, it definitely depends on the situation and it definitely depends on the exposure. So I don't really have a great answer for that, other than, you know, other than the county will let us know where, you know, what we need to do and what our next steps are. What is your plan for school closure, quarantine when positive COVID cases occur in the district? Scrambling should be avoided if at all possible. Absolutely. So we will have some contingency plans in place. What I will say is it's still not going to be perfect. The answer, I mean, that's the ugly truth here, is that if we do have to pivot, it's still not going to be perfect. And so we will do our very best to make sure teachers are ready and prepared for that, and that students are ready and prepared for that. Because if we look back and remember that infamous day of March 13th, nobody was ready. We didn't know how to run Zoom meetings like this one. We didn't know how to communicate with families in a virtual world. And again, I do feel our staff, among many staffs throughout education, have become much, much better within this format. That is not saying that we're experts by any means, but I do feel that it will be different. And again, we would switch. It would still be, it still wouldn't be that emergency remote learning situation that everyone was put in on that March 13th. Please advise how you plan to split up high school students into A, B groups. Thank you for your question. I'm going to leave that one as I, don't know the answer, and I don't, we'll have that virtual town hall. If you have specific questions, please reach out to Jason, Jason Kress, who's the high school principal. Wave for us, Jason. There he is. All right. So he will be able to answer that more thoroughly on Thursday evening. And again, next question, high school students wants to do the online and virtual option. Please, please again, reach out to Jason, or wait for that Thursday meeting. Next question, what will a normal day look like for a child doing virtual in grades 2 and 4? Pat has that meeting on Thursday. And Pat, should just nod to me. You did send out more of an in-depth thing later on today, right? So please check your email, parents. And if you still have questions, you can definitely reach out to Pat. Pat, wave for us. Pat Olbert is our elementary and VAMS principal, and he will have more information on Thursday. Okay. If we enroll our high school student online, will VAS teachers be available for assistance? We're working on this as far as having points of contact within the district, even if they're not directly teaching kiddos. If we do go through, if they're being taught by the Edmentum crew. So we will have points of contact that will be checking in with kiddos. We don't know exactly who that's going to be yet, but we're working on that. If you've not received an email with either the survey or additional information on your buildings, please reach out to your building offices. John, let's wave there. John is our middle school principal. So Jason, John, and Pat, please reach out to them if you have any questions about the individual schools. So one comment was, I strongly want a Zoom in the class ability. Allow children to have their local teacher, but attend 100% virtual if needed. Absolutely. The comment continues on to say, this will allow students to transition seamlessly to with their teacher. We understand that. We are working through a variety of things, and this is called, what the difference is between asynchronous and synchronous learning. So synchronous learning would be, you have the camera on the teacher, and there's a camera in the classroom, and here's how it looks. There are some legal issues with this, and we're going to be fully transparent and honest with this, that within that, we can't be recording students, right? So if you think about this as your student is one of those sitting in that class, we have no way of truly knowing whether when we're in the Zoom format, you guys could be recording, right? With a phone and seeing everything that is happening. And so there are some legal issues with the synchronous style of learning. So the preferred and recommended option for the majority of districts has been what's called asynchronous, where a teacher records their lesson and then has more work time that they are able to interact with students. So again, at this point in time, that's where we're leaning, and we'll go from there. Does everybody understand that? Did I break that down in a decent way? Okay, thank you. So again, at this time, we are not leaning towards what's called synchronous learning. We are leaning towards asynchronous learning. That may change if your child enrolls 100% virtual and Edmentum is in control of that. They are experts in that field. And they may have some different platforms than what we're using. Can a student who enrolls in virtual learning come back to the normal classroom? The answer is yes, and we'll have some of those natural points where they can come back. We will have a period, and we have not defined that yet, at the beginning of the year where you can go either way, either the virtual option or back into the in-person option, knowing that some parents are going to try either and not feel comfortable. And I'm not saying that it'll be a big group, but there probably will be some variables early on where we just maybe can't get over those hurdles either way. Siblings in school guaranteed to be in the same group, and I think we touched on that before, where we're going to absolutely try to put families in the same groupings for those A days and those B days. Kids who do virtual learning, how will they do specials like gym, art, music from home? That's a great question, and it truly depends on which virtual option we are, which grade level, excuse me, and building level you're in. So for elementary, it would look different than it would in middle school and high school. And when we're talking about even high school, we're still working out how that would look if you had a student that would like to take, let's say, a shop class. And if we can socially distance and keep the numbers, can you be a virtual student and attend that shop class? So we're still working out the details to that, but we would love to be able to offer that to everyone. And again, that would be in numbers. If there's enough room in that class, we would absolutely love to offer that. Jason, is that correct? Okay. Any concise plan for food service? So we kind of hinted at that will be answered in your Thursday meetings. Again, when we talk about this plan, it's a plan as of this minute, this moment. And I don't mean to say we're going to be waffling back and forth on big decisions. But at 6:41 p.m. On August 11th, I can tell you this is the plan. And then I can also tell you that there are details that are subject to change. And that's based upon recommendations by public health officials and by organizations that we are relying on for that information. What about students that have IEPs, and how is it benefiting them only going 2 days a week? So this is one thing that we do want to touch base with. And so Kathy Reed is our new Pupil Services Director. And we've been discussing that. Yep, there's Kathy. Wave again, Kathy. There you go. There's Kathy. So we have been discussing that with students with IEPs, and if it's in their best interest, including 504s, if it's in their best interest, we are going to make that available. If that's what their IEP requires, to go 4 or 5 days a week potentially. We will. And so Again, just know we're going to try to best meet the needs of all of our students, and those with individualized plans may have, their schedules may look different. So the big kids scheduled days in the classroom stay the same each week: Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday. And if the plan changes, do they stay virtual or do they come back to? Okay. So there's a couple of questions in there. So the answer is we are going to try to keep Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, Friday as the A groups and B groups. If you look at the first month of our schedule, however, you will notice that there will be a huge, even in just the first month, if I'm correct, Jason and John, there would be an unbalanced amount. So we may need to balance that out in a variety of ways, and we have not determined exactly what that schedule is going to look like yet. And maybe John and Jason have, and we haven't been able to communicate about that. So, but that will be released at a later time if they choose, or when they choose how that balance is going to occur. In the information I received from the middle school, I read that Edmentum would be providing virtual instruction for specials. Will art and PE be offered for BAMS and Trillium students who attend virtually? We're gonna direct that to Thursday afternoon's meeting. So John, if you could touch base on that, that would be great. Could you please describe what a day looks like in Edmentum? How much computer time? Is it only computer-based? Please describe specifically how teachers will be involved. And again, this is one thing I do want to clear up. So Admentum is an overarching, they're a partner program that we're working with. They have multiple resources. And so they have an image that is almost like a dial. So it can truly be helping us provide professional development for teachers on how to connect with kids in a virtual world, stuff like that, all the way to them offering this full-time education where they are the primary educators. So within that, if you look at an elementary school versus the high school, and depending on how numbers shake out, that could mean a variety of different things. It absolutely could look, and I'll just use fourth grade as an example. It could look, if we've got 20% of our kiddos that are choosing the virtual option, absolutely we would transition a teacher into that, a Viroqua area schools teacher into that virtual role. Excuse me. And they would be using Edmentum as a resource. Does that make sense? And then specifically at the middle school and high school levels, it will be hard, again, to keep those numbers at a reasonable rate that we would like to start the school year. Excuse me, and allow our teachers to also be full-time virtual teachers. Could you, oh, yep. So again, as far as the day specifically in elementary, middle school, and high school, please tune into those Thursday conversations. I do apologize if you have kiddos in elementary and middle school and high school and you have specific questions. That'll be a long night, but I do hope that you tune in for that to get some of those specific questions answered. Again, will the virtual option be pre-recorded, or will there be live teachers interacting with children who choose the virtual option? As far as Admentum goes, they do have different options, and so we'll let the different buildings talk about what that's going to look like in the individual buildings. Another question on what exactly is the virtual option. So are Viroqua area schools teaching them, or is it a different service? And it would depend on the grade level. Great question here. Students with speech services needed. How will students receive services if they're required to wear a mask? We are looking into a variety of options for this, including multiple barriers in between Students, we are also looking into, and Kathy, correct me if I'm wrong, a clear mask or face shield system in those particular situations. So again, it's a very unique situation where, you know, it's not only a verbal issue to have a mask on, such as this one here, but you really want to see the muscle movement of those, you know, of that around that mouth region. Would the same school supply list be required for kids opting for virtual versus in class? I am not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like. So building principals on Thursday, can you please address that? If students if students choose a virtual option, can they still choose to participate in after school and extracurricular activities? Yes, and that is one of the major perks of choosing our virtual option versus some of the other options, is that you can still be a part of Viroqua area schools and still interact with peers in clubs and activities after school. And again, so yes is the answer. As far as practices for sports, how will that work for those home for the three days of virtual learning? I know it all. I know oh, there will be adjustments, but curious. As if you don't have transportation, I don't have an answer for that at this point in time. I know that they are allowing practices, and the majority of schools that are choosing the same model that we are allowing practices. So we will look into that, especially with the transportation piece. I don't have an answer for you right now with that one. It seems like there is so much to do in order to get ready for the school year. Have you considered moving back the start date from September 1st in order to give schools more time to prepare? I want my child's teacher to have time in order to prepare to start off well. I would say we've considered such a wide variety of options. I'm not saying that that's completely off the table. I do feel that there is a potential, and again, hopefully we can answer this, for potentially some staggered start days or start times, depending for those first day or two of school, so that we can welcome back kiddos more individually. But but again, so have we considered? Yes, I would not say that we've spent a ton of time considering pushing that back. Administrators, would you agree with that? Yeah. Would you consider starting even later by a week? Okay. And so the parents and teachers need time to prepare, especially consider the number of questions that are left unanswered. I would say anything's on the table right now. And so if that's where we feel we need to be, the answer is we can absolutely look into that. However, with as fast and as rapid as things are changing, I'm not sure that a week is going to give us all that much benefit. And so again, we'll talk about that and as an admin and with our medical advisors, and we can go from there. There's currently an 8-day testing latency in Vernon County. If a student is deemed sick and this still exists, how would you be able to figure out who was exposed? That's a great question. And to be honest with you, the medical community and educators throughout this side of the state are extremely frustrated, if I'm being 100% honest. And I'm not saying anyone's to blame here, but getting tests back anywhere from 4 days to a week right now, at least as of today in my meetings, it doesn't do us much good. Is the straightforward answer. So we have been continuing to reach out and express that. Again, we are not the medical experts. We are not the public health experts, and unfortunately, we do not control that. Will all students and staff be spaced 6 feet apart at all times? Will desks be spaced 6 feet apart? So the answer is whenever possible. So there will be moments when that is not possible, and we will ensure masking is in place and that good hygiene is being practiced. And we will be practicing that social distancing, which that's a word that everybody's been using, and it kind of just is becoming a numb word to me right now. But yes, we will be practicing that 6 feet apart whenever possible. Yep, so I realize that you're needing a commitment, but what if we enroll in person and then feel uncomfortable with the way things are going? Can we go virtual? There will be multiple pivot points there as well going the other way. However, those would need to be worked out depending on grade level. If it's in-house, we can absolutely do that a little bit easier. If it's in a different format, we have to work with our partner companies. Will the students who are mainly in special education rooms be able to be in the classes as they typically did for socialization? Are they going to be a little more understanding for those students? Yeah, yep. So there's about 3 questions within this, this question here. And so I'm gonna start with the first one. And whenever possible, we will absolutely be continuing with what's called the least restrictive environment. Is that correct, Kathy? We're going to try to meet that whenever possible. That's not saying that we won't ever do small groups with students with their case managers, but we will try whenever possible. As far as with the masking, this is going to be required for all students unless you have something written in your IEP or your case manager and parents decide that the student will have issues keeping it on. So we do have students that will have sensory issues in keeping the face mask on their face for an extended period of time. We understand that. The other way to not wear a mask is through a medical waiver, which will be made available for students with things such as asthma, or when a doctor recommends that they are not wearing a mask. We will make accommodations in those cases for both staff and students. My daughter's reason for school is choir, art, after school acting, plays, performances. Any plans for these? What I would say is please tune in on Thursday, and hopefully we can have a little bit more information for you on those. That's a great question. So some things some schools are doing are, pushing kind of those fall performances to the spring. We're gonna weigh every option, but again, hopefully more information comes forward with that. Just a comment that we want completely virtual with local teachers, and again, if if we have that as an option, we will definitely use that first. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice here a little bit. This is a lot of talking for me, so please bear with me. I've got my second bottle of water ready to go, so but I am losing it. So if we choose online, will we know other students are doing the same? Just wondering so we can plan outdoor activities to keep the kids seeing their peers. That will not be something that we will probably release. Correct, administrators? We wouldn't want to share that information for parents that did not want that information shared. So you're going to have to, in that particular situation, reach out to that peer group and see what grouping they're in. I do apologize for that. I know that's inconvenient, but I do believe that's probably information that not every parent would want shared. What is the district doing in regards to busing? First of all, within your survey results from the survey from earlier in July, the number of students that needed busing was drastically lower as more parents were thinking of and considering alternative ways to get kids to school. So we were looking at, and I believe we were at about 29%. For students that we would need to transport, which greatly lowers the per route ridership. And so that in and of itself is going to help drastically keep our numbers lower. So some things that we are working on, and we will get more information out there for this in the coming days, is only seating one student per seat unless they are family members. So if they are living in the same household, they would be allowed to sit together. There is, excuse me, there are also things that we are putting into place, such as order, assigned seating, order of which kids get on and where they sit. And again, hopefully we would not be having too many students on those buses, so that we can keep those numbers down. Just to clarify, so I make sure I understand, charter schools, VAMS, and Trillium will not be using Edmentum. Not at this time. Virtual instruction will only, yeah, at this time. The only way that could possibly change is if we get a huge number and they just need some extra resources or help with that. But again, that would, that at this point in time, am I right on that, Pat and John? Yes? Okay. Will high school's Laurel students remain as a single group or be divided? Please tune in on Thursday at 7 for Jason's meeting with that. He'll be able to answer those questions. And again, will they be using Admentum or virtual? Please tune in at 7. What will band look like? That is a great question. We are looking into a variety of resources. That is one of those questions that there are schools trying different things, but what we want to be able to provide an actual band experience, and what we don't want it to turn into is like a band history, kind of class where we're not being able to provide the opportunity to play. It will look different, but to say I have the answer for exactly how that will look is not being honest. Please tune in to John and Jason's 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. and hopefully they'll be able to answer a few more questions with that. Yep, so I can attend. I can attend live for Thursday's meetings. Yep, we will be recording that and sharing that out as well. Is there a need for delivery of meals to families using the virtual option? So are we accepting volunteers to do so? That'll be, we have not discussed that situation specifically. We will have to look into that in a variety of ways, including because we are limiting, drastically limiting visitors within the buildings. How that would look to have the volunteers, I'm not sure. So we can definitely look into that. I think it's a great suggestion. I'm not sure who made it, but that's a great suggestion, and we'll look into that. Yep, if a child starts in VAMS in person or vice versa and it doesn't work, could we switch? And again, the answer is going to be yes, but what we want to make sure, again, for as far as what's best for students, that we're not flipping back and forth between a virtual environment and an in-person environment. We want to make sure that that we're giving them a quality experience. Can a virtual student join middle school band? We're working on that. And again, if the numbers allow, then the answer would be yes. And again, we'll look at that. Where are kids eating lunch? It depends on the building, and the principals will be able to answer that. Why are these meetings at inconvenient times? All meetings should start at 7 p.m. A couple of reasons that we did not want to start and have all of these meetings at the same time was because parents may have children in multiple buildings, and we wanted to give them that option. I apologize that these times are inconvenient for you. We're doing this one at 6 p.m. We're doing tomorrow's at 2 p.m. trying to stagger around typical work schedules. So we didn't want this one to run too late this evening. but we wanted to give people that potentially were, left work at 5 and start, and had an hour or so commute to get here and to be able to connect. So I do apologize that those are inconvenient for your particular situation. Again, all meetings should start at 7 p.m. With this being recorded, hopefully that helps within that. Just record portions of class, the part that the children are not on. So many safe legal ways around this. If the school does an adjusted Admentum, could be the end of the school district. What do we need? Okay. Again, when we're looking at this, there are many ways of trying to tackle these issues. As we move forward, we're trying to put together the quality program, both in a virtual environment and in person, the best and most high quality program that we can for your kiddos. And so again, this was not intended to be in any way, threatening to anything. This was intended to provide and partner with a professional organization that does this for a living. Are the high school kids who attend AB still getting meals at home? Would be very similar to the conversation for the fully virtual kiddos. We would still be able to provide the meals themselves. We would have to figure out a way to get them in the hands of those students. And so we will continue to work on that, but it probably will not be in the same way as it is now, where we're putting them on buses and coolers and then, transporting them to homes. Being that testing takes the time it does and fever seems to be a major indicator of many health concerns, do you plan to have temperature checks at the building entrances? We're still working on that. We originally were leaning towards doing a self-check just because we could, there are many reasons. Some schools are doing things like as soon as you walk in the building, you go to a larger location, such as the cafeteria or commons area, and then you get your temperature taken. We are still working on the details for how that looks. So as far as, I'm sorry, there's some typing going on, so I do apologize. So yes, temperature checks will be considered, I would say at this point. Our medical is giving us some more guidance on that, our medical teams. Yeah, understanding this takes plenty of staff seems pretty easy to eliminate before a student or staff is inside the building. So again, yep, we will look into that. We have not ruled out in any way yet for how that looks. Do elementary students have the option to use Admentum versus the teacher at school and have structured learning? We will talk about that, and it'll be more of a numbers game within that. So if we can meet the needs of our kiddos with our current staff, we will. Has the email with the high school additional details meeting info already been sent out, or will it be sent out tomorrow? Just checking to see if I need to. Jason, I don't know where Jason went. Oh, there he is. Jason, have you sent your stuff out yet, or are you doing that soon? Soon, okay. So high school will be sent out soon. Will we be able to see Edmentum options so our child can decide classes, or how's their current schedule going to be? Okay, going to be looked through. Please tune into the building level meetings, and they will discuss how schedules are going to be decided. How is this going to affect the high school band and choir trips and fundraisers? I am not sure about that, so I'm going to punt and defer to Jason. Sorry, Jason, for all of this punting, but hopefully he will have some information soon. Hopefully on Thursday we will be able to answer some of those questions. If your kids are in virtual and choose now not to have our kids go to band choir trip, can we be reimbursed for the money we already put in? And again, I'm going to give that to Jason to answer on Thursday. And is the most recent survey an actual enrollment form, or is this the initial survey and then another enrollment form? Great question. I'm not sure who put that one out there. So what we are using this form for, if you would choose, now correct me if I'm wrong, administrators, if you would choose the in-person option, we are taking that as your enrollment form. If you're choosing a virtual option, we will have additional questions for you as we move forward. So there will be an additional, I won't necessarily call it a form, but there will be additional questions for that. Please, please know that if you can't attend a building meeting, please reach out to your child's principal, and they will answer your questions to the best of their ability at the time. And again, I know that that's about as clear as mud. So I'm not trying to be difficult there, but please do so. Please reach out. I see there are more questions coming in. Will we have another survey? I think I already touched on that, didn't I? I think I already touched on that one. Will we find out if parents prefer asynchronous versus synchronous learning and teaching staff? We can absolutely go back into that. We did have a conversation with our district leadership team about it. At the time, it was not the preference of the teaching staff, and you can imagine, you know, for a variety of reasons. But I can only imagine. I cannot imagine having a camera on me my entire day. That would be very interesting. And I'm not saying they're doing anything inappropriate. I'm just saying, you know, that's a different type of pressure there. Will the students have the option to borrow school computers? Yes, and so there will be a survey coming out. I know you guys are going to love me with all of these surveys. I apologize, but within that survey will talk about one, if you're choosing the virtual option, do you have a reliable device and internet? And it will also ask for those students in 7th through 12th grade that are on that 2 days in person, 3 days virtual schedule. Do you have a reliable device, and do you have reliable internet access? And for those that don't, we will do our very best to try to meet those needs. Yeah, and so the next question, will the school be providing computers for virtual students? Yep, we will. We just touched on that. What were the times for the middle school or Trillium and high school meetings again? So that's Thursday evening, 5 p.m. For the elementary, 6 p.m. for the middle school, and 7 p.m. for the high school. And those will be recorded and shared out. It is, yep, and information such as those times will be available on our website in the COVID and fall planning page that is included at the top of that. Since many are choosing students pickup, have you discussed about long pickup lines in order? We have. Unfortunately, with myself, being new and Pat being new at the elementary, we will, we'll be working on this, and we're definitely, we just haven't seen it yet. We have been told that it is an issue for pickup and drop off. And we'll be relying on our leadership teams to help us create and organize the logistics behind that. Why Edmentum, and why did you choose this program? For a variety of reasons. The major one is that, it could be this resource based upon what we needed to best meet kids' needs. If you weren't on for earlier, there is an image that is a dial. So for how much of that you need. So it can range from simply a resource for teaching staff, for something from professional development on how to best connect with kids in a virtual world, how to organize your day and your calendar for virtual students, all the way to them providing that service. So that again was the reason was they offered us the option for us to be able to choose their role within the district based upon the needs of our students and staff, not here's the the one thing that a group does, and now we either have to be all or nothing. Does that make sense? Okay. We've issued no metrics regarding COVID and how the school will respond in certain situations. How can we be expected to answer a survey? I'm not sure exactly what metrics were, there are a lot of different variables there. I'm going to guess, and we're talking about, okay, what happens in the COVID response, but when you say the word metrics, maybe that is based on numbers. And again, we are receiving guidance from DHS later this week is what we've been promised. And our county health department has stated that they will take the numbers that DHS issues to them and make their decision on what our numbers should be later this week. So again, we'll go from there, and as soon as we have that information, we will get that to you. I understand that this is going to be an incredibly difficult decision. I'm sorry for that. And again, as a parent of a 6-year-old and 4-year-old, I can tell you that this is not a slam dunk situation in any way. There is not a clear-cut answer. And what I will tell you is you're not going to make a wrong decision, right? Based upon your situation, your family, your ability to provide support for your children, you are not going to make a wrong decision. And so again, I apologize for not having those specific metrics that everybody wants. And again, we want them as well, and we'll continue to move forward with that. How about 1 infected student, 2 teachers, 1 middle schooler? Again, we are looking for guidance from our medical health and public health experts for this. Will the district be informing parents of positive cases? Great question. And the answer is yes, but we will be using the direction of DHS, of Vernon County Health, the Vernon County Health Department, because there are situations that there potentially could be a personal identifier within those conversations that we have to work around. So an example could be there's only one kid, let's say it's a staff member. There's 1 staff member gone out of the building today. That is giving away personal identifying information that we legally can't. And so again, that's where we will work on each situation, and they will talk about how we should or how we can announce things. And again, that's not a clean answer, and it's not the answer that any of us want. But we also want to respect the privacy of kiddos and parents and students in this very difficult situation. It's going to be unique as we move forward. Mm-hmm. How do we feel safe to have all of the elementary students in person with so little data on how COVID spreads among younger children as they have been home and not around people since March? Absolutely. Absolutely, we understand that. What I would say is there are examples, especially from other countries, of where kids have come back together and done so in as safe a way as possible. The short answer that you are going to be sick of me saying, and I do apologize for that, is I'm not a public health expert. I'm trained as an educator. while I can look at reports and I can look at information, and believe me, we've looked at plenty. What I would say is I am not a public health expert that can break apart that information and tell you what is good information and what is not good information. So we are relying on our public health officials to help us make those decisions. And again, that is not saying that will not change, as it has changed in multiple times throughout this. One example would be it was believed that COVID lasted on surfaces, especially hard surfaces, up to 72 hours. If we think back to April and May, that was a huge concern, and we had talked about May, and now, the most recent research is stating, things like it's mainly transferred through droplets, and that's why masking is so important. So again, the information has changed, and it will change moving forward, and so we need to be ready to pivot if necessary. Will the Edmentum company provide a sample of learning experience to families? I know that there was another meeting with the high school and middle school principals today. Hopefully they will be able to answer that on Thursday for you. Are the Admentum teachers licensed in the state of Wisconsin? Yes. That was my shortest answer of the night. All right, we're still getting some, coming in. Please bear with us as we've got multiple typers trying to copy and paste and make sure that I've answered everything to the best that we can. So, as of right now, it's saying that we have caught up with the majority of questions. There's another one coming in. Never mind. All right. Has the district explored outdoor learning spaces and options? The answer is yes, and we're continuing to explore those. We absolutely are encouraging the staff to use outdoor spaces as often as possible for learning experiences. What we don't need is, hey, let's go outside for recess for hours, right? Because it's safer outside. So yes, we will be looking into that. We'll be relying, again, on those leadership teams to help us with the logistics of how that would look. Will the students get mask breaks? If we look at what summer school was, and Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, we did have multiple times where students were, they went outside for those mask breaks, came in, washed their hands, and then went about their day. So I would anticipate that will be very similar. Is the tentative start date September 1st? Yes. Another short one. Look at that. Will there be city bus routes? I am not sure of that. We will look into that and get back to you. I apologize for that. All right. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes to see if anything else comes through the chat. Yeah, so now at this point, there haven't been comments, I believe, coming in for, now the comments that are coming in are more thankful for the meeting. So what I would say is Thank you guys so much for attending tonight. We had over 100 participants and great questions. My goodness, those were great questions. So thank you again for attending and providing us with a lot of food for thought and things that we know we need to answer. So we'll get out those answers as soon as we can for those. I truly do appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time to do this. What I will say again is that you have a tough choice in front of you. I absolutely can understand that and appreciate that. This is very real, and we absolutely understand that. You will not make the wrong choice. You can't make the a wrong choice. So again, you have all of these options. You make the best decision for you and your families, and that's it. And we are going to support you and provide a top quality education in any format that you choose. And so again, I appreciate you. I appreciate everything that you've done. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate all the work that has been put in by our staff. And again, I'm so looking forward to welcoming all students back into the district in whatever format, and looking forward to meeting and working with each and every one of you. Thank you and have a great night. Beth, before you get off, can you copy and paste all of the questions if possible, or at least make a copy? I'm not sure if you can. I would love to make sure that we've addressed as many as we possibly can.
We have gotten all of the questions.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, thank you guys so much. Beth, whenever you're ready, you can close it out, and then we will look at how we can best share this video. Have a great night, everyone.